Drug cases always come down to just a few things. The first consideration is what kind of drugs the person is caught with. The second is how much of the drugs the person is caught with. The third is whether or not the person had a criminal record, particularly for drug possession and drug sales, and how the police behaved in finding the drugs and other evidence in the case. As to the first component, the kinds of drugs, today the major concern among law enforcement is with fentanyl. The police and politicians are constantly advertising about how deadly fentanyl is, how much of it is out there, and how it is being added to other drugs like cocaine and heroin to produce a very deadly cocktail of drugs. If you're accused of possession of fentanyl for sale or transportation of fentanyl, your case will have the full attention of the court and the prosecutor. In fact, recently in San Luis Obispo Superior Court, a person was charged with murder because of providing fentanyl to someone else who later died after taking it. That's how seriously the prosecutors and the courts are taking fentanyl cases these days. Secondly, as I said, one of the big considerations with regard to drug cases is how much of the drug you're caught with. In this day and age, even if you're caught with just a little bit of fentanyl, maybe not so much as other drugs like meth, heroin, or cocaine, again, you're going to have the full attention of the court and the DA. But as to the other drugs, the amount of drugs is very important as to how your case is going to be treated. Simply put, the more you have, the more attention the DA is going to give you, and the more likely it is you'll be treated like a dealer and face tougher punishment than if you have comparatively little drugs, in which case you might be seen as somebody who's just possessing them for personal use and might be more eligible for treatment with probation and diversion. The third component in this case is that if you have prior convictions, particularly for drug dealing or manufacturing or transportation. And that's even if the amount of drugs you have in the current case is small. Even if it is, if you have that kind of record, it is more likely that you'll be charged with dealing drugs and not with personal use. Having a record for felonies not related to drugs can also lead to a more harsh treatment of your case. So a person's record is really important in drug cases. And finally, drug cases come down to whether or not the police obeyed the law when they looked for and found the drugs that they claimed that you or someone you loved had. There's a couple of things to keep in mind, and they are that to search you or your car or your belongings, the police will need your consent, or they will need probable cause to search. To search your apartment, your condominium, or your house, the police will either need your consent or a search warrant signed by a judge that is supported by probable cause. Probable cause is a reasonable conclusion that the search will lead to the discovery of evidence related to a felony, either having been convicted or about to be convicted, or is in the process of being committed.